Fourever You, I think, contains probably one of the best BL kisses I've seen this year. I genuinely did not think that this show would be capable of it. I had so many criticisms about the show, and I highly debated if I even wanted to do a podcast focused on it. But this kiss was so earth-shatteringly good that I felt like I had to do something dedicated to it. I'm telling you, Jonah and North have made this show so incredible. Goddamn, I wish they were the leads of the show. I'm going to discuss the kiss and just them in general and what works about this show. Hi, I'm Monique. I am the host of Off by Purple Heart podcast, where I talk to you about K-dramas, C-dramas, BTS, and so much more. Fourever You, I'm not going to get into synopsis about the show. This is probably going to be going into some spoilers, but I'm assuming if you saw the thumbnail and you saw the title, you know exactly what happened and you know what I'm going to be talking about. Jonah and North, to me, make Fourever You work. I'm going to be honest here. I like Earth a lot. Kuhart, I think, is phenomenal. One of my all-time favorite BLs, and I mean all-time favorite BLs, is Until We Meet Again. I think that's what solidified my interest in this subgenre of romance, even though I've watched queer media on and off throughout my entire life. But Until We Meet Again is my quintessential favorite comfort show as far as BLs. And Earth and his portrayal in that show, to me, was paramount to why I enjoyed it that much. Him and Fluke, but definitely Earth deserves his flowers. He's been in the industry for a while, and I think he does great work. I even like Pond. I know Pond is very versatile as an actor, and I think the two of them together have that chemistry, but there's something about the writing and the way that they have constructed the entire storyline between Tur and Hill doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. I've watched several episodes of this show, and to be honest, I was very ready to drop it until it became apparent that the ship that was North and Jonah was going to sail. I hear that this show is based off of 4 books that deals with 4 different couples, and that this season particularly is supposed to focus on the Tur, Hill, and Jonah North. I think, in my humble opinion, even if this isn't canon, it should have been focused on Jonah and North. To me, their chemistry and their relationship dynamic is a lot more interesting to watch and see develop. I think they really did a disservice to both Pond and Earth with what they gave with the characters. In the particular episode that I just watched where this earth-shattering kiss happened, I actually thought we were going to get something really good because I saw Pond and his friggin' 8-pack abs with a towel on, and to have him look like that, hair dripping wet, and he has a college-aged man in a room alone with him, and they're supposed to have this great epic love romance story that their grandparents and family members are keeping them apart, and they've had these several years of connection with one another, only for him to look that delicious and for Tur to essentially say, hey man, can you put your shirt back on? I'm so sorry. Yeah, consent is great. Consent is sexy and all that good stuff. I couldn't take it seriously. What the hell do you mean put your shirt back on? Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. I can't take it seriously. I've tried with this couple. I tried. Maybe in the last stretch of the episodes for this season, I will get into the relationship of Tur and Hill a little bit more. But I'm very perplexed by that pairing, very much so. And I think it's doing a disservice to both actors. Now, North and Jonah. This makes a lot of sense to me. I love the class conversation that it presents when you have one character that is rich and is used to getting his way via just throwing money at things and using money as an intimidation tactic, which I think could be very interesting commentary if the show is willing to go there. I don't know how far the show will follow the books per se, but I think that would be an interesting piece. You have another character who is, part of the working class and has a hard time with money, and he's working several jobs just to make ends meet so that he can continue to go to college. And he's being put into really shady circumstances and could potentially get himself in trouble just for the sake of getting paid. I really enjoyed the fact that North too just looks like a regular college kid. He acts like a regular college kid. He can be an annoying nuisance to his friends. He can get physically aggressive. He can get in people's faces. He has no problem throwing a punch, and he can honestly defend himself. But in the presence of Jonah, especially in this episode, he can become so soft and so small. But not small in a bad way, but small as in he allows himself to be taken care of by Jonah. And it's so attractive to see. I just think the actor, he has such a cute face, and he really can tap into those feelings of vulnerability really, really well. And I'm not familiar with him, and I'm not either actually familiar with the other actor as well that's playing Joe. But together, I just think that as a pair, they look very striking together. I wouldn't, if I was a casting director and I had 2 headshots of these 2 actors, I wouldn't necessarily think to pair them together. But when you see them on screen as these character arcs, it makes a lot of sense to me. The fact that North can be really sarcastic, he can be very chaotic, and he can be like balls to the walls kind of thing, just bouncing around. Jonah is very sarcastic and very annoyed, very easily irritated, and just doesn't seem to genuinely enjoy the company of people, which I can relate, and just doesn't have a lot of patience for a lot of the BS, but just completely melts when around North, and he gets into that super protective mode. In this episode in particular, when there was that whole showdown between the restaurant owner that also seems to have a crush on North, and Jonah immediately comes in and he kind of stakes his claim. He's like, I'm taking him with me. And he's like, he doesn't belong to you, which implying he belongs to me. Them going up, and there's just something just so incredibly attractive about that. Him getting North to sit in his lap, and just how small North looks in his lap. I was just so devastated by how cute it was. The kiss though. The kiss. I have to talk about the kiss. I'm telling you, that's one of the best kisses I've seen this year. I've watched a lot of BLs. There was a lot of great kisses. Some of my top BLs didn't even have kisses at all. Or if they did, they weren't in the romantic context. This one though was fully in context of romance, peak level, and just the whole hand on the neck thing. How small North's face looked at his hand. The whole telling Hill to cover Tur's eyes. Cover your boyfriend's eyes because I gotta do something with my man here. That entire kiss sequence, I swear to God, I felt like butterflies were coming in and out of my chest. I feel like my guts were like in somersaults. I have never been so gagged. I don't think I've ever gasped on screen. I've seen some pretty, death-defying kisses in all sorts of genres. K-dramas, C-dramas, BLs, whatever. But there was something that shook me up so much about this kiss. And I think part of it is I wasn't expecting it. I fully expected that the characters have chemistry. From the very first interaction when Jonah went to visit their dorm room and first laid eyes on North, at least what we thought was first laying eyes on him in the context of the show, and that look he gave him, I was already like, yeah, there's definitely a lot of potential there. And all their interactions since, there was so many sparks, but I was shocked by the amount of chemistry in that kiss. That kiss was intense. Because this came out so late, I am so sorry and disappointed that it's not going to be topping everyone's list of best BL kisses or best romantic sequences or whatever the hell kind of list people are going to be doing for the end of the year. But to me, that's the top one for me. And this is coming from someone that absolutely loves and adores Unknown. Unknown is my girl. For this year, Unknown, hands down. best BL. Ain't nothing touched it. I don't care what BL you put down in the comment section. Ain't none of them touching Unknown. And even that, even with the payoff with that show, nothing came across as close to how I felt watching Jonah and North have that kiss. And I'm like, if the chemistry is that damn good, and we're only now being introduced to the romance arc with the remaining, 4 episodes or whatever is left, what more can they do? And I saw some behind the scene pictures and stuff, and apparently they're like taking a bath together and all type of stuff. And I was like, dear God. The chemistry though. The chemistry is insane. And I feel like there's so much that he can do in this storyline as well. I really do think the idea of Jonah using his money purposely to own every single restaurant establishment that North has tried to work at in order to pay off this long-standing debt that he has to him because of the destruction to the home when he got drunk. I feel like that could be a really interesting barrier in the relationship, and that could create like some real life tension kind of circumstances. Like, I love when shows can come up with really realistic points that would cause actual tension. Unfortunately, with the Tur and the Hill storyline, whatever they're using as barriers for them being together, like the points of drama, doesn't really ring true to me. But I do think someone that has a lot of pride like North, and he's obviously very appreciative and has gratitude for the money that Jonah has given him just because he cares for him that much and is kind to him, but kind of exerting his will and using those resources in a way to get what he wants all the time could actually be something that would create an actual issue. And I would love to see how that would play out. But the physical chemistry between them as well, and they just come across like adults. I feel like it is a young show, and I do feel like it's geared to a younger audience. And God knows even if anyone would get to this point in the podcast, because my demographic for the people that seem to enjoy my content seems to be a little bit older. But they actually come across like adults to me. Like, to me, the way that they work, it seems like 2 adult men in college space who are, broaching upon life where they're going to start getting into real world and dealing with real world issues and problems. I think that's what attracts me to this couple as well. The fact that physically I would never have thought to pair either one of these actors together, but seeing them together and how they move together, it just makes so much sense. The fact that they're able to pack as much chemistry as they were into that first kiss on the couch, and then the last 5 minutes of the show, and to see North come to this point where he can comfortably lie in Jonah's arms. And even though Jonah has his own storyline about having to be the successor to his father's businesses and having to tackle on more responsibility, and it's slowly draining him out and he's feeling burnt out, and for North to kind of offer that cute little peck on the lips as I hope this makes you feel a little better, and that setting off like fireworks in the bedroom, so to speak, and it turning into this really beautiful exchange. I'm just so impressed by it. I knew that they had chemistry. I liked what I was watching when it was the 2 of them, and I was like, I want to see more of them. I want them to be the leads of this show. That's how captivated I am. And then to see that, like, that kind of chemistry, I feel like we should be talking about it for like fucking weeks. Is anybody else feel like am I crazy here? Like, let me know your commentary below if you have gone to this point. Like, were you expecting that? I was just completely floored by how good that chemistry was. Like, I have rewatched that scene an ungodly amount of times. I just enjoy good romantic stories, period. I don't care what the pairing is. I just here for good chemistry romance. But the amount of times I replayed that, like obsessively so, crazy. It is so crazy good. And this is coming from a show that I think is actually pretty mid. Like, I wouldn't top it as like one of my favorites of this year. But this couple in particular are one of my favorites, if that makes sense. The show itself, I could do without it. I wish it had more to give Earth. despite the amount of screen time he has had in the show, I really don't think it's doing much for him or Pond, to be honest. I'm just not gelling with that storyline. And I feel like I should be at this point with the amount of episodes we've been given. But Jonah, North, that chemistry, that's different. That is lightning in a bottle. Dear God, I hope they get another show together. I really, really do. I hope we get another season of just the two of them. I'm locked in. I'm locked in, and I'm someone that doesn't even truly believe in fixed pairings in BLs. I've never really been with that game. I'm like, pair people that actually make sense and have chemistry, and they fit the archetypes of whatever characters you're trying to portray for that particular project. Yeah, there's some pairings that I like, but I don't need them to be together in every single project. I'm completely okay with mixing things up. And Earth never really seems to have one partner that sticks anyways, so that's never really been a problem for him. But with these two, they need to do more work together. That kind of chemistry is special. But let me know your thoughts down below. If you're watching the YouTube version of this podcast, you let me know your thoughts in the description and the comment section. If you're listening via Spotify or Apple, feel free to give me your commentary as well. I'm very curious. This show, I really don't know how to feel. As I said, I think it's mid. I think it's mid as all hell. But that chemistry between them two, different.